is release. The key is access down. Get cached key event. Because this needs the F key event. Okay, so this is all going to be doing this because inside of our viewport client, we're supposed to be caching the keys for the event. Get game viewport, get cached key event. If pressed to repeat, otherwise, alright. So we need to cache the key event. We need to make a key event and cache it. What? God damn it. Alright, so cache key event gets set in here. What is the key event stuff? It's got the key, character code, key code, all this other crap. You thought I lived in LA? No, I do not live in LA. Alright, so how do we actually make a key event? So we actually need to do like on key up, on key down, as opposed to anything else. That is a gigantic fucking class. Slate application base, yeah. Fuck. Why did they do this? They like cracked open all the information just so we have to pack it back up and send it back to itself. Well, let's see. Do we have a user index in here? Is that just controller ID? Get user index for controller ID? Really? Maybe just hack it up and send it back. Yeah, this is what happens when, like, obviously what happened with this input system with Unreal is somebody made one system and somebody made another. Here we go. Get user index for controller ID. Return controller ID. Just, yeah, fucking Jesus Christ. Like, we already seen viewport. This is in private. Get cached key event. No longer. Because we are a viewport client, so I think that'll let us go ahead and modify that. Get game viewport. I guess, yeah, we need get game viewport. Cache key event equals that, and then we need the get cache geometry. And then we need to call scene viewport. We need to call this on key down. And we're going to call it with our cache geometry. This is just a giant pile of crap. Alright, so if this is released, we'll do the other. So on key down and on key up. Man, that's just ugly. So what is the false in this? Is repeat 9. We'll just say no, it's not a repeat. And then 0, 0, because that's all they do. So let's just see if that does what we want it to do. Yeah, well obviously the raw input is just a pile of crap. Doesn't work worth anything. I was expecting it to at least, handle something simple like, a freaking 6-button pad with arrow keys on it. Obviously that's a mistake to think that it would be able to do that. And we'll recompile everything because we changed some header files for things. Fun times. Yeah, Sonicron, have you been part of any launch update stuff? Kind of like what we did yesterday or the day before yesterday? Because I've done a lot of launch stuff. And especially you would expect a lot of these things to have gone a lot worse. Like, we targeted fixing the performance problems, and like we fixed the performance problems. They had a new map. It worked. And then like we jumped into, what was it, like a 22 player game or something like that? Or at least 16 or 17 player game on a game that has never been tested for that. And it actually worked, which was pretty awesome. Because we did a bunch of launches at like EA, 2D for BioWare San Francisco, releasing updates to Dragon Age Legends, and like we'd release every week on a Wednesday. And the reason we released on a Wednesday was because there were inevitably always bugs, and we needed to do a hotfix sometime that week to fix some critical, horrible, broken functionality. So the joke was, updated every Wednesday, don't play until Saturday. Alright, so I think I fixed that. But having us actually, like, we didn't have a whole heck of a lot of time for QA. It was 2 weeks after our main launch. We got a new map. We fixed just like a massive amount of problems. Got it out there, and like we didn't have to hotfix anything. And the bugs that we've got are real basic. So that was cool. Do we have to call get game viewport on key down? Is that what we gotta do? Might be able to clean this up when I get it working. You've only been... Yeah, I know, but if like... Because you've worked on some previous projects like where you were working with AWS, so I assume you're updating your applications or whatever that was live. Fix one bug where misspelled false on the WebKit. Yeah, it was a big one. Couldn't launch without that fix. Would have fucked up everybody's post game. Because I know at least in the world of game development, launches have been just classically awful, horrible. Everything is broken. There's always a hotfix in meetings and stuff like that. So I was wondering if, because I don't remember if your previous experience was games or not. I don't think it was. I was wondering if they at least had their crap nailed down when they actually released things, because we certainly did not. And we actually did the other day, which was cool. I mean, our scale is like, what, 20 or 30 or 40 people. So it's not like, oh my god, but whatever. You weren't ready to launch? Yeah. We weren't ready to launch, and it was all Sinocron's fault. So there's that. Key event. USB Axis 1 down. Awesome. So supposedly we might be able to do this. So let's go to our controls. Up, down. Down's not working. Left. Alright, so down and right aren't working. Alright, so axis 1. Alright, so yes, this needs to be up. And this needs to be... Well, this one is down, up and down. Okay, so that should fix that, you'd expect. Alright, we got down status. This needs to be up status. These guys. Your main project was telemetry and build systems? That sounds like a whole lot of not fun times. I'll be honest with you. Telemetry and build systems are tedious. Usually because they take a long ass time to do anything. Also because they always break because of other people. So like people throw in horrible, stupid telemetry that is completely broken and they never checked it. And then later they want it out, and then it's just not there. Or with build systems where people just blow everything up. You absolutely despise CloudFormation? Yeah, I've worked on AWS for many, many, many years, and I never used CloudFormation. We always just wrote our own crap. Because there's always so many stupid rules and configuration things that we wanted. Now it was just like, no. We just write it ourselves. And a lot of the stuff with like CloudFormation, I think, and a lot of other configuration systems really required a lot of restarting everything to make it work, which I was never fond of. Alright, so our controls should be mapped. Whoops. Our controls are mapped inverted. Alright, so this is up, this is down, this is left, and this is right. That's right and that's left. Okay. Whoops. Let's see. Controls. Let's do down, up, right, left. Up, down, left, right. Alright, I can just invert those buttons. Obviously, I got them screwed. Because I want to dash. I want to dash to be on that key, and celebrate to be on that key, and crouch toggle to be, I don't know, some else we don't care about. Alright, so I can't wall jump. And I can't crouch. So it's like up and down aren't getting recognized. Alright. So let's get just the controls sorted to start with. And then we'll worry about the crouching and the rest. I built an entire new stack for every commit. Yeah, every actual build out there. That was one of the things, is a lot of them just took forever to do anything. That was one of our big problems, is like if you're trying to do a deployment, you screw something up. And if your error correction time is like an hour or 30 minutes or something, then that sucks. Because if one thing's wrong, probably that there's 2 things wrong. And if there's 2 things wrong, then there's probably 10 things wrong. Yeah, well, builds being like 10 minutes is pretty good. But I was talking about the deployments, and if the build included a deployment, then 10 minutes is pretty good for that. Yeah, like our Java servers or whatever take like 2 minutes to build, and like another, like, it takes about 2 minutes to deploy it, but most of that is just sitting on the box waiting for the ports to work properly. The whole thing in 10 minutes, yeah, it's not bad. Versus like, the game stuff we have right now, a new build takes like an hour and change. And then a deployment takes about 10 minutes or so just because of how big all the files are. Alright, so up, down, left, right. Let's apply that. You blame Unreal? Nah, it's just C++. Unreal's actually pretty good for how fast it compiles all that garbage. I thought I inverted this. Let's see, what is the delta is 0. It's left and right. Alright, so axis 2 is left and right. Axis 1 is up and down. Alright, so I thought I just flipped these around, and alright, let's just fix left and right first then. Well, there you go. I flip these around for everything. If it's released, then on key down. Yeah, that makes sense. When you're not pressing the key, you're pressing the key. Yeah, we're also building stuff like for Windows, x64, x86, and then we're building Linux. We're then building an x86 server and an x64 server on, and I've only got one build box to do all that crap on. So we're actually building the game like, 5 times over in the space of that hour. And then we have to cook the assets for every single one of those builds. So for a C++ project to get that all done within about, 60 to 80 minutes is actually pretty damn good. Doing it all serially. If we did it parallel, I'd expect, you know, like 15-minute build, 20-minute build, something like that. But I'd have to go, like, do things like hook up more boxes, and then we'd be blocked on, like, writing to the share drive and crap like that. We don't really have the budget for all that. We'd rather spend our money on other things, like music. And cocaine. That's a good one. Alright, left and right, up and down. There we go. We can crouch. We can do that. We can wall jump. We can dash. Alright. So I can now play with my Super Nintendo controller. And I can also play with my Xbox controller at the same time. I can jump with both keys. Awesome. Let's remove the debugging and look at what we can clean up. So where was that printing out all that trash anyway? Controller input state. Is that our input manager? Just a bunch of Axis events. Yeah, okay, good. Alright, so what can we do about this trash? We can make a function that's like void u Dashkin import client, simulate key for access, and so we'd have like a const f key target actual float delta. We'd want the controller ID. We'd have like if target equals actual, then we're going to want this sort of thing. So it's going to be target alright, so it's going to be target axis, and then it's going to be up and then down. So this will be up down here. This will be down here. Alright, and that'll go do the things that we want it to. So get game viewport, cache key, up, down, controller ID, all this shit should be passed in. Looks good, so we change this to simulate key for access. We need up and then down. Alright, so we got key. For actual to me, delta, and we need controller ID. And we could go throw this in like some array or some crap that would be more configurable, but don't really need to do that. Have a fight with yourself in game? What? Sorry, I must have gotten distracted when that was typed in there. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Unless you want me to spawn in a few bots and beat them up. Play with my feet, try to see who wins. Well, I actually made it so you can't do that anymore. You can't be focused in 2 windows at once. I'd have to boot up another machine and play against myself that way. Target is, yeah, alright, target axis is what we want. Both controllers control the same actor. Well, probably the gamepad, the Xbox controller is going to take precedence over everything. So it's not going to be much of a fight. It's if you're holding it on the gamepad first, it usually uses that. Keyboard versus controller. Well, that was actually the bug that was happening there. Is I was setting the controls to both directions, and when the reason it was inverted wasn't because the code was wrong. It was because it was actually when I pressed the button, it would stop holding the key down, so like it would go the opposite direction. So that's why when I reversed them, it still had the same reverse controls. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I just reversed the controls and they're still reversed. You're like, oh. Okay, that makes sense. It's because instead of pressing the button, I'm pressing the button to not press the button. It should be up, down, left, right. Awesome. That looks correct. So... let's see if I can actually play this damn game with the Super Nintendo controller. Yeah, still got it. Oh, you son of a bitch. fucker. Yeah, that's allies doing work. Alright, the always dash probably needs to be... Alright, I'm hearing the bots beat people up in the background. I gotta write that down to fix. Bots are moving after game finished. Let's make sure to fix that. Alright, so I'm going to try always dash on this because holding that left trigger to dash sucks, or left bumper on the Super Nintendo controllers. Dog shit. That's right, get fucked, son. Oh man, this is very different play style. And the bots with the frickin' the blocks for days. What is this crap? There we are. Get out of here. Ah, you bitch. Yeah, there we go. That intercept. Yeah, that's how we do it. Alright. So that is fixed. Let's see what those bots, why they're moving around. Alright, so that's non-standard gamepad input, at least. We got that working. So let's fix the bots while we're at it. So why are they going to be doing their thing? Okay, if this is me, or is a bot, alright, yeah, this is what is going to be going on here. If this is bot owned and I have authority over it, let's see, I've got some of this in here. If is bot owned, if is locally owned, and bot owned. Yeah. Alright, that should fix those bots at least. Yeah. Still got it. Get out of here, you stupid blue piece of junk. Let's piss them off so we know they're gonna be angry and come for us. Oh yeah, he's pissed. Oh, you son of a bitch. Angry bots are good at scoring. Even though they have no intelligence on how to actually score, they're just really, really good at hitting the ball. Alright, yeah, they're not moving around. Good. Alright, that's fixed. So I'll mark that off. Alright, so stats width doesn't take into account the width of the scroll bar. We'll fix... I should just go into mouse controls. Let's get the mouse control stuff in there. Able to be mapped. So let's see what it's going to take to do that. Alright, so I think it's in engine types. Ah, fucking Jesus. A good way to render the bounds of the screen in screen coordinates? I'm not sure what you mean by... You want to know how... The pixels? Like... Or do you want 0 to 1? Or... You want the bounds of the screen in the world? Alright, so it's input core types. So the question is if these keys also contain the mouse X, Y, scroll up. Alright, so they are F keys for these things, so we can actually map them over there. So our input should support this. Alright, so I'm getting local coordinates for stuff. Where exactly are you looking, Sanacron? I assume you're in the UI, or... No, you're gonna be inside of wherever the hell that shit is for figuring out crap like that, so you're probably in brackensack UI.h or widget.h. So you're gonna have to give me some context. I assume the geometry pass that tick function of a widget is like a UMG widget, and that's the geometry that's getting passed in, kind of like when this web browser Um, yeah, I'm not super up and up on exactly what the hell all that's about. I think that's in UMG land or something. So like yeah, your size X and Y are probably how big the viewport is in like some sort of coordinates. I mean, that sounds like the right thing for like how big it actually is in the world. It sounds like the UI scale is 1.48, and then your absolute position on the screen in screen coordinates is probably the absolute X and Y, is what I would assume. Or the size is the size of your widgets in screen coordinates? Or something like that. So like if your size was that big, you have like a gigantic fucking rectangle. Um, and I don't know how big the bounds are of the window. That would probably be on the viewport though, I would assume. That's going to be part of like a slate viewport, I assume. Yeah, how we mimicked that with stuff in CSS is we based all of our positions based off of like the vertical minimum, vmin and vmax and stuff like that, where you'd basically take the minimum of width or height, and that was kind of your positional thing, so that regardless of the aspect ratio, you would always scale to like the minimum thing or the maximum thing, and it was easy to work with. So if you had something like that where you could change based on the vmin, you don't need to really care too much about the aspect ratio because the widget will just resize itself and doesn't really care about the bounds of what it's in. Or you could have like one widget which has everything else as children, and then that one master widget resizes properly, and the rest of them just do whatever the hell they want. But I assume that it's going to be this S viewport, probably, which has the actual screen geometry. Yeah, I guess it's just like get the cache geometry on the viewport widget, and get the viewport widget from the viewport client, and I think that'll do it. Yeah, yeah. The size of you're gonna have to have like a master widget which everything is contained inside of, I think, and then that'll be sized up, and you want to get that based on the cache geometry of whatever the fuck there. I don't know. UMG is not my strong suit. I don't know jack shit about it, so I may not be very helpful whatsoever with that question. Okay, so we have left mouse, right mouse, middle mouse, thumb mouse, and all that. So left mouse button. Let me go to our viewport client. I need to just close a lot of things here. Alright, so it's going to be input key, input axis, input character, mouse. Alright, so mouse enter, mouse leave, mouse move, input touch. Alright, so if it was a mouse event, we're going to call mouse button on this thing get cache pointer event. Yeah, so you're probably gonna have a child widget on the viewport which sets its geometry to size and width and height based on that geometry from the parent viewport. At least that's what I would assume, something like that. Alright, so mouse buttons are gonna go. Sorry, so mouse button left and right. Really, all we have to do is make it so we can map these keys inside of our web window, and we should be good to go on this. CF only supports left, right, and middle mouse buttons. That's fine. We'll just map those, and that should be good enough. So I think I'll just map this to just something like this, and just kind of let mouse stuff do what mouse stuff does, and just kind of also simulate a secondary key for it inside of this input manager, and that should be good enough for all of this. And if we want to add more buttons later, we can just do it that way, where we don't have to actually get the browser to understand the key. We just get we just pass in more special key codes down as actual button presses, and it's not going to screw with our JavaScript or any of the web stuff.